This is Family Electric Ghost. They're live on the air with Lital Yohay, and this is the first time we're talking to you. And welcome to the Family Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing today?
Hi, thank you so much. I'm fine. How are you?
Good. We started this podcast back in 2016, primarily talking to emerging singer, songwriters, and musicians. So this is kind of going back to our roots, where we love to talk to musicians, and that's what we're going to be talking to you about today. Your music, and you could create like multiple genre music. You're into pop, rock, theatrical, blues, funk, electronic, everything. Kind of like I'm a musician as well, and I call my music expansive sound because I kind of try to go in the same direction that you're doing. But I just want to welcome you to the show, and we're going to talk about music. But a couple of things we always ask every guest is what motivates you and why do you do what you do?
Okay, so I think like every musician around the world, the start is when you're a kid. Um, I really liked music and I really liked dancing. It started with dancing actually when I was 4, 5 ish, and I was dancing jazz ballet. And jazz ballet at the time was just listening to Michael Jackson. So I really loved Michael Jackson. And I remember when I was 60 years old, my parents always woke me up like early in the morning if there was a show that Michael Jackson was on. And yeah, I remember
Do you ever
this.
see the cartoon? Like I'm a child of the '70s, and I remember I grew up with the Jackson 5 cartoon. I don't know if you ever got to see that.
Oh, no, I'm a late 1986, so,
I don't even know if that's ever even a syndication, but it was like really cool. You actually got to see the Jackson 5 singing their songs in a cartoon format back in the early '70s. It was kind of cool, but
Yeah, it sounds fascinating.
yeah, I mean, music is so important, you know. I like so you remember like do you remember what how old you were when you first started getting into music?
I think around 4-ish, something like that, when I started, like, really, exploring Michael Jackson and, dancing and, around that age, I guess.
When did you start picking up an instrument and actually think you wanted to actually play an instrument or sing?
Okay, so my main instrument is singing. I was always singing when I was a kid. I used to make plays with the dollies, like all the all the little women out there, the early age, and I was making like a show and Little Mermaid and
Mhm.
singing and all that stuff. And dancing, and afterwards when I got older, a bit piano, um, a bit guitar, and drums. But it's a bit from everything, but not really made a focus about one instrument. But the most and definitely instrument is vocal. So
Vocals.
yeah.
Well, today, you know, we live in a world with the digital audio workstation, the DAW, and is that like your primary composing tool, using like a Pro Tools or any of those type of tool, you know, multi-track composing tools?
So no. So okay. The whole album that you were exposed to, well, I had a team, and
Mhm.
up until the war started, so I had a team, and we were creating the music, like a MIDI music.
Mhm.
Everything is MIDI, not live tools. So that's about that. But the thing is that all these songs are basically written and composed by me, and the music production by me, but from the head. It's just, like, I don't know, spreading all around. the notes and everything, and how the singing will be, and what instruments will be, and how it will, develop and everything. So everything was from the head.
But, like, when
Um,
when you mean from the head, how did you actually get it on tape or get it on, into the studio?
so the first thing was just singing something just, came up. I don't know. And started the lyrics, and everything is like mixed together, and just picking up the phone and just recording with the phone the singing and the composition, so I will remember it. And then after the composition is full and it's complete, then I'm starting to like, I know what I want here. I want here the saxophone, and I want it to be like that, and singing the saxophone and singing like everything, and then it's just pulled together and into like a musical.
Okay, so do you have, like, a recording engineer or producer that takes all those tracks and puts them together?
No, I just like doing it. I was doing it through the phone, and then I was going to the recording studio, which
Mhm.
was like a physical recording
Oh, so you
studio.
physically went so the
Yeah.
recording studio, maybe you don't know about how to actually produce it, like
No, no,
technically. You're
no,
you're
up
just more of
until
an
like
art.
no, up until now, when I mean, like a few months ago when the war started. So and the recording studio was shut off because just he decided to not continue with the recording studio. I was so sad because we were a team, and so I really liked to go to the recording studio. I really liked it, but it's ended, like, a lot of new and good things that are ending. So
That's
yeah, but
interesting 'cause, like,
started
yeah, just because
I
it sounds
started
like you're not familiar with what a DAW is?
No, actually, no, it's really new to me. It's really new to me, all this stuff, because I was going to the recording studio. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, so
I wanted to.
you weren't yeah, you didn't actually have, like, a multi-track or all the equipment
No.
that a studio has, you're more of the artist and you're kinda singing like Michael Jackson, he didn't play instruments particularly. He used to
Yeah,
do what you was talking about, his style was to, kinda sing out the parts and then work with the team, and then they would put the songs together, James Brown
that's exactly
was
what I
the
did.
same way. I'm
Yeah,
more of a like, I'm in a studio, I've got all my synthesizers, I've got multi-tracks, I got DAWs and stuff, so I'm kinda used to talking to people in those terms, but I understand that kinda James Brown, Michael Jackson point of view, but where you're maybe not the technical musician that can put it down like a recording engineer, but you actually have the ideas, you have the song.
yeah,
It's in your heart, in your head, it's in your body, it's there, so you just want people to help facilitate that. So
yeah,
you go to a studio. So I get that.
yeah.
So now that you can't go to the studio, are you looking to figure out to how to do this on your own, like do it yourself, or are you still gonna look for somebody to help you?
No, I actually take it like as an adventure, and starts to figure out what to do. So right now I'm not recording and really releasing new songs. I'm just like exploring things and about the music. So right now I'm just like releasing a bit, just music, just the without the singing. So I mean, it's cool. it's
That's
it's
cool.
new.
That's interesting. So do
Yeah.
you have like a synthesizer or a keyboard and you put things down in the
Yeah.
garage band or something, or you just just voice memo and then push it up through your website?
And not on my website. I did release, I think, two things on YouTube. So it's just exploring, nothing to
Right.
something, not
That's interesting.
professional, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay.
And not like what's on your website, like, if I go and show, the folks I'm gonna seg to the screen I have up, So I've got your let me see if I can do this. Yeah. I've got your website, and on your website it looks like you have a is this an album that's got like a bunch of tracks? Is this your album or just a collection of songs?
Yeah, this is the full album. Actually, I forgot to upload one the latest song of mine
Mhm.
because I built the website I think a year ago, almost a
Mhm.
year ago, and then I released the final song, and before he closed the recording studio, and it's really an awesome song. So
Oh, but it's not on this site right now.
no, no, on the side, but I do need to upload it later. Yeah.
So of all these songs, if I was gonna go play one of them, which one do you want would you think which number would be the one that they think represents you the most? I mean, you got a lot of songs, so it's probably hard to do that, but what song would I wanna play first?
Okay, so don't miss out on me. I think
Okay,
it's
where is that the first one?
I can't
Yeah.
see
Yeah, it's
what
number 1. It seems to be "Don't
number
Miss Out on Me."
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let me try that one to see if we can get that to play. It's better for you.
So ashamed, try to impose on someone else. So ashamed, can recognize myself. Scars are everything in life. Have you ever fallen down?
So that's interesting. So that's kind of a techno song, right? Or is that a, like electronic kinda EDM
So,
style?
yeah, what I really wanted to do after releasing a bunch of songs, I told my producers, listen, I want to create something for the dance floor. And I really wanted to have like a mix of like 6 songs of mine and put it all together as a dance song. So, well, I each of every song of mine is really different.
Yeah, I
Uh,
noticed that when I was listening.
yeah, so one of them can be pop, and the other rock, and the other jazz and blues, and maybe a theatrical song. So it really, really, it's really different from one each other, and
Yeah, it's
I
very
decided to
expansive.
just to mix it all together as a dance on the dance floor. So that's what I did.
That's interesting. I'll kind of point out, like, I'll just go to this acoustic one to kind of show the difference, on the one called "Change." I'm gonna play that
Yeah.
first.
Go up, up and up. And I feel the world together. And I feel the world we made us. And I feel the world together, together. And I feel the world we made.
So it's really interesting. Your instrument is your voice. I can tell because like you have a very beautiful voice. But are you're sounds like you're kind of doubling or doing multiple voice parts. Is that all your voice?
Yeah. I really like to create second vocals and third vocals, and I really like theater. I don't know why, but it's just flowing in my blood. I mean, I never heard or listened to theatrical songs
Hmm.
too much in my childhood or something like that, but it's I really like to tell stories
Yeah. Well,
with
that's the
the
kind of
music. Yeah,
that's kind of old school songwriting. If you go back,
yeah,
to I'm a child of the '70s, and the 1970s was like a big time for singer songwriters. And that was that period of time where people had songs that told stories that had that kind of like it was like a movie, like it's like a 3-4 minute movie telling you this plot line and characters. And I kind of get that, that's not always what you hear today. Sometimes songs are kind of just hooks, or the
Yeah.
kind of grooves structures. And it's more interesting to me, like as a songwriter, I like to look at all types of songs, from
Yeah.
progressive rock to funk to modal jazz, classical. Like there's a lot of different country music, like everything. I will listen to anything that I think is cool. And it happens to be like a very wide breadth. So it seems like that's where you're in that same kind of space as a singer. You like to try different styles to kind of match your voice to the different genres, right?
Yeah. I like to explore.
So what song is the most theatrical song on here that maybe gives that example?
You can try Solo Girl. I think it's really, really cool.
Let me try this one.
I can't get enough of you. I think I am in love with you. That's what you said to me the other day, but I just didn't want you in my life that way. I'm solo girl. I'm solo girl. So independent, so don't be closer anymore.
I like that song in that it has kind of the kind of key elements of like the 1970s, 80s type of song structures, where you have fills, you have changes, you got the like it seems like I only heard 30 seconds of it, but I can imagine it seems like it's more structured like songwriting theory, where like in the old days, like a Beatles song would have structure,
Yeah.
like it would have, or a Carpenter song, they would have like Richard Carpenter would like really arrange the piano and the strings and these really orchestrated, highly composed songs, and that seems to be missing today in a lot of music. And I do appreciate what you're doing there. Even 30 seconds of
Thank
it, I can kind of get the feel.
thank you very much.
Do you find that that's why you like to explore different genres, because you like want to see, you want to just to imagine your voice against different types of songwriting techniques and see what happens?
Um, I just, um, I think it's mixed with the feeling of, okay, I just had an idea and I want to sing something that I just had an idea to.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it's, I like to I like to get into like new adventures that are very complex and to see what happens if I can, pull it together.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
like you could think about like a 1920s flapper style, right? So nobody's really doing that, but maybe it's like why I've always talked to songwriters and they say, well, people want to get them to tell the interviewer like the formula. And a lot of people would say, well, every song kind of, it serves the song. It's like this song might come from a different place than another song. And
Yeah.
a guy I used to really get into was like Prince. Like a Prince album, he would be all over the map. He'd have funk, rock, psychedelic, and on the same record. So not every song was expected to be the same. He'd have a wide mix in the
Yeah.
same album. And today, a lot of people don't do that because they want to have a signature style that's like very consistent. But I think I like it when people are more adventurous, like what you're talking about.
Yeah. One of my producers told me no one could take your signature because you're so complex and you're like, you have this thing in the music that it's only you are doing that.
That's
And
the
yeah, I
secret
think,
sauce. That's why I've always told people, as a producer myself, it's like people tend to go into a comparison trap
yeah,
because the way things are with the internet, right? People want to they want to clone what's popular, So
yeah,
if you a lot of times it's hard for people to be vulnerable. And I've always liked people who are more vulnerable and willing to do something that maybe is not current, but it's like it's interesting. As a fan of music, I always like to go for the emerging kind of underground artist, or maybe not in the top 20, but like at the bottom 500 of the chart, it's like there's
Yeah,
all these artists in these different zones from all over the world. They're doing different things. Like somebody could be doing
totally.
something in Berlin, like very experimental, like a Brian Eno experimental type of work. That's not, that's not now. I mean, that was a 1970s thing. If somebody goes back to that, that's not what's popular today. But it interests me that somebody, oh look, oh, that's the direction they're going, or somebody's doing modal
Yeah.
jazz, or they're doing psychedelic. So it just ends up being, I think it is your individualism that is the thing that you can sell as an artist, because it puts you in a different spot that nobody else can compare you to. Like, I think that is counterintuitive, I think, because some people don't, they were like, they don't know how to market that.
Yeah, I know.
They go to like
Yeah,
a record label and they're saying, well, how do I, what do I, they want to put you in a genre. They want to say like, oh, you're like Amy Winehouse, or you're like Karen Carpenter, or you're like Beyonce, or you're like Taylor Swift. They want to pigeonhole you. And like,
yeah.
what if you like, well, like I'm kind of more in the Sun Ra zone. Like, it's like I'm going to be all over the map.
So I believe that, the record labels, I think that they're wrong because everything can be marketed. You know what I'm saying? Everything you can market everything that you want. I mean, there are millions of milliard of people out there in the world. You know
But
what I'm
it's like,
saying?
yeah, it's like law of attraction. Like I always feel, and I'm a Buddhist, but I feel like if I put something out in the world and it vibrates at a certain frequency, like under a law of attraction, people who are into that frequency, if I put it out into the ether,
Mhm.
people will find it. I'll find my tribe. I will find the
Yeah,
people that like it. And if the people that don't like it, well, they won't resonate with it. But if
that's
I'm
right. That's
yeah, if you're
correct.
too scared to put it into the world, well, then it'll just sit in the can.
Yeah,
You know?
that's right.
But so let me play another one. Just as I think I'm just going to play this Under the Dome because I want to see what that sounds like.
Okay.
Under the dome, you under the dome, under the dome. Something's, 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 something's that are not so important. Give you the satisfaction of a hero, and everybody says them into that. There's a zero awareness that you're living under the dome.
That's really interesting. It's funky, and then it has kind of like a rock opera aspect. Because when you say like Under the Dome, it sounds kind of like science fiction. So, and then you've got this funk beginning, but then it kind of segs into something that's more, oh, that's like it's progressive rock. It has a change. It changes to something like a different timing, and then it's like, okay, that's cool.
I was writing this song after I was watching a series on Netflix. It's called Under the Dome.
Oh wow, so
And
that's where it came from. It came from like it sounded like it was a movie or a concept.
yeah, so it's about that.
Yeah, because it has like it's interesting that you kind of take, it's like an idea comes in your head, and then you find like the style or genre that goes with the topic, and then if it doesn't have to be what you worked on before, it just becomes like whatever serves that song. So if you want to use funk, like that one has a funk kind of bass lines in it. So that's kind
Yeah,
of like
I
the
chose
feel.
to do this. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that-
chose. Yeah.
that's cool. Because that is so kind of not typical of the. I mean, I think what's interesting is like I would just kind of denote my age, but like in the '80s, the new wave has this idea that it's this type of sound, right? But there's a
Yeah,
lot of different type of bands under new wave. Like you have like Talking Heads, you have
right.
Blonde, you have Duran Duran, right? You have
Right.
Flock of Seagulls, you have The Cure. None of those bands sound the same, right?
Right. You're
And
right.
the thing about the new wave, it was kind of post punk, it was post progressive, and it has rock elements, it has like techno elements, it has a lot of different elements all kind of brought together. And I think there's a lot of people like synthwave kind of attempt to kind of bring it back, but new wave to me never went away. It's still out there as a
Yeah,
genre. Some bands are into it, but it's so wide of a genre that you can put a lot of things into it.
that's right. That's how I feel about everything. Like, I mean, about every genre, everything. And we can make magic if we want. Like, it doesn't matter if it's music,
Yeah. No, with
You
like
want to
limitations
be,
on creativity or like not, you're only limited by what you think you can't do.
yeah, yeah, that's right. You want to be a doctor, then go ahead and be a doctor. You want to be, I don't know, secretary, then go ahead and be a secretary. And you can do magic with everything that you do in life. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're going to think that, oh my gosh, I'm going to get up tomorrow, go to work, I'm going to be the same secretary. And no, you have to think about, what will I do unique in the office today as a secretary? Or what will I do unique at the hospital if I'm a doctor or a nurse or whatever?
Well, it's kind of like, permission structure. Like I always feel like people don't give themselves permission, right, to
Yeah.
really, actualize. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times they'll have all these expectations, maybe came from their family, came from people around them, the social group that they're in, and then they get to this point where eventually it's like a critical mass, and it's like I don't feel like fulfilled, and then they finally realize that they're not doing like who they're not being themselves because they never
Right.
allowed themselves to be themselves. But I
Right.
find like creative people tend to kind of we have that permission structure. It's like, why can't I do that?
Right. Yeah.
So we
Totally
go and
right.
do it. So you go and do it because, like, what would nobody's I like, I don't care if somebody doesn't like it. That's what I feel right now. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. I don't like the limits. I don't like limits in my head or in music, or I don't think that I like limits in everything in
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
That's like I always wanted, like, as I'm a keyboardist, a synthesist, and I come up with my own tones. Like I use synthesizers to come up with my own sounds. I don't
Mhm.
like to use like I don't buy like commercially available sounds. I like to build my own sounds from scratch and then use them in my own songs.
Yeah.
And I just made choices where, I can just come up with something that's not it's like a newfound sound, right? And I want to
Yeah.
go wherever that sound takes me, that's what's going to be what I work on. And so if that sound somehow I do something that sounds like the wind blowing, or it sounds like an ocean wave, or it sounds like some kind of weird thing from Jupiter, then I'm gonna go into some cosmic thing, or I'm gonna go into some funk thing or some jazz thing, whatever, that sound takes me, I'm gonna go and take it in that moment, kind of in a flow state. So I was
Yeah.
just wondering, like when you write, do you kind of get like a download from the universe, or do you have these like this it's a lot of like hard work to compose something, or does it really come to you more like a download?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not thinking. It's more just like, let's say, communicating with the universe, as you said.
Mhm. Like
It's
the
it's
muse.
definitely, yeah, something that's, coming up. I was writing Ran Over, if you could play it. I
Yeah.
was writing this when actually I was on the phone with a friend, and all of a sudden I had an idea in the middle of the conversation, and I told him, "Listen, I have an idea. I'm gonna need to hang up." And
That's
and all
interesting.
of
Let
a
me play
sudden
that.
I was like, "Okay, okay. I have this. I have this."
Granular, you're frustrated and complicated. So
I
don't
don't
you
know what.
dare to
Oh,
move
there you
away
go.
from your calling.
I didn't see you for a moment.
Waking up in the morning, teaching them how life goes on, and I'm treating you better, better than ever. And I'm asking myself, could it be that I'm screaming inside and I'm still?
That's really interesting, that song. So that's the one that you are talking to somebody and it just came to you? Oh, did we lose you?
I think we were yeah, I think the internet broke a bit,
Oh, it
right?
broke. I
Did
started
you
to
have
play
this
it.
too?
I heard it, but maybe you didn't hear it. I just played it, but, like, it
Oh
seems like
yeah, it's broke. It was broke a bit, and you disappeared for a moment.
Oh, I did? 'Cause I still could hear
Yeah.
myself, but you couldn't hear me?
Um, you were off at the camera and then again.
Oh, well, that must be the speed of the internet, but, is it good now?
Yeah, it's good.
But you probably missed me playing that whole song because I played the whole clip. But, yeah, you that was the song you said that, you were in a conversation and you just like, it kinda came to you and you had to go do it, right?
Yeah. I
That
don't
that
know what happened that I just needed to. I knew the story. I knew everything that's going to be there, and I was like, okay, I need to hang up. And we weren't talking about something like this. We weren't talking about any topic that would recognize to this song. So I don't know. So this is kind of the situations that come to me to compose and write the lyrics and everything.
that's interesting. So, I'm just gonna give us a little more bandwidth. I'm gonna, just drop that stuff for now and talk to you this way, but,
Yeah.
and, in writing music, do you feel it's a very cathartic thing? And I've talked to a lot of like artistic people that they write music just because they write it for themselves before they write it for anybody else. It's like something they have to do. Do you feel like it's something you're gonna do no matter what? It's just part of your life.
Yeah, it is definitely part of my life. I think that every musician or artist, not necessarily a musician, they come from a dark place. I think that we can create anything if we're not in a dark place. And we all hurt. We
Hmm.
all hurt. We don't come up into this world without being hurt or doing hurt for someone else, but we learn and we grow. And I think that music was really, really, really inspiring for me from other artists that the soul, before she came into this earth, she knew that this is something that's going through all my life. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
um it's really healing for me. It's really comforting. So this is definitely something that I will be doing for the rest of my life until I die.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 57 and I've been playing since I was like 6. And I never stopped, and it was interesting to me because there were other musicians around me when I was growing up and I was in my teens, in my 20s, and they didn't hit some mark and then they dropped their instrument, right? So, like, the guitar players, bass players, drummers, and then suddenly other things happen in life, and then they never pick their instrument up again, and I continued to play, get married, you know, different jobs and have children, but I never made that an excuse to not play my instrument. I never
Yeah.
like some people I found that they say, "Well, I grew up or I got this," and then they just said, "Well, I can't do that anymore." But I was like, "Well, that's part of me. I can't." I was like, "'Cause I'm not gonna not do that."
Yeah. Well, some people, you know what I'm saying? I have a saying that, we meet people, okay, in face of the life or our lives, and we meet them for a certain time, and then we leave and we meet other people. So same thing with maybe instruments, you know what I'm saying? Well,
Yeah.
some people, they can have a phase for, I don't know, period of time with an instrument and drop it, and that's fine because they needed it for this
Yeah,
I don't know,
period of
for this
time.
period of time, and some of us are just sticking with it, and
Yeah.
that's
So
fine
was
too.
yeah, was this idea, the creativity? I think some people get to this point where they kind of think it's like a childhood dream and then they get disappointed or they don't, it doesn't really pan out the way they wanted to. And so I
Yeah,
think the people who stick with it, the people I've met that have continued to play, was it like playing music in general, no matter what instrument, because a lot of them play multiple instruments, is
yeah,
just something that is just part of their life. Where it's just it's how they communicate. Like it's like a
that's
poet.
right.
Poet, like is going to continue to write poetry if they're a poet, right? Because that's what the writers are usually until they they don't usually stop until they're not around anymore. But jazz musicians are known to keep on playing until they can't play, right?
That's right.
It's in
Yeah,
the pop kind of zone that sometimes there's this age thing where like a youth is the thing. And
yeah,
if once you get past a certain age or like expiration date,
yeah,
because it's like that's like but if you were doing it because you just love it, like a Paul McCartney, he never stopped. He never stopped, He just, Miles Davis, they never stopped. He never stopped. Some people just Johnny Cash never stopped, you know, to the end. Is it because it is who they are. And once you
that
realize,
that's right.
it's like it's okay if you don't continue because maybe that's not your path. But I think when you know it's your path, then you stay on it.
Yeah, you can't stop doing that if that's your path and if that's your the way that you communicate, and yeah, it's a language. It's a language.
Well, you
It
find different,
definitely is.
like you found, like you have your voice is your primary instrument. You found
Yeah,
ways to get it to the world through translation or partnerships with other people. And then if you get like somebody puts up a roadblock, like you can't go to the studio, you find another way. So I
yeah,
think it's like a creative thing is like sometimes like if you get a roadblock or somebody puts an impediment, then you
mm,
find a way around it. You find a way under it, over it. It's
yeah,
like you figure it out like how because it's still like you have that driving force that, well, if I can't do it this way, let me try this way.
yeah, yeah, and, I think that, the voice well, for me, yeah, um, it comes with the, songwriting and the lyrics, and I remember when I was at the 2nd grade, when I was 8 years old, the teacher gave us this, assignment to write a story. So, everyone's going home, writing a story, like a short story, and I gave her, I think, 10 or 20 pages, something like really long.
Really long.
And a week after, a week after, she was so fascinated and she said, I think you're an author.
Well, that's interesting. Songwriters to me are authors. We're just short form authors. Our
Yeah.
stories are just more finite.
Yeah.
Like and our form because we have maybe a 4 minute, 6 minute, sometimes you go longer. Like I'm a progressive, so some of my stuff goes like 18 minutes, whatever. It goes crazy. But the idea is like we tell stories. Like that's
Period.
like yeah, when like like when I look at a painter, right? I look at a painting, it's like that painting tells a story, right? And so like it's to me, it's like a painting and songwriting. There's a synergy there sometimes because it's
Yeah.
like an immediate kind of like what you can see in the moment and what you hear in the moment, right? It's very kind of like it's an immediate kind of instantaneous like interpretation of what's happening. But it's like everybody who looks at that painting sees something different. Everybody who hears the song, they when your audience hears that song, they interpret it based on their own life. And it's like they might be parallels to what your intentions were, but they're gonna kind of own it in their life. Like your audience ends up owning your song.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you ever like find that people interpret your songs differently than what you intended?
Um, I think so, but I don't think that I'm aware of it. Because we all have misconceptions, when we're communicating, or you can tell me something, maybe like blue. You can say, I think this and this is blue. And I would like, I would imagine something else that is blue,
Yeah.
And so that's the idea.
Yeah,
That's
that's the
the
point,
idea.
right?
Yeah.
You put it out in the world and then, like, you don't always own it anymore. Like, people, like film directors, they put something in the world, and then
Yeah.
people interpret things out of it, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
no." It's like, "Whoa, that's interesting." Like, they didn't see that, you know?
Yeah. Well, most of my songs that I wrote are not personal, They're not the story of my life. They're just stories. They're
You're just
just
creating characters. Like any author that's creating a character, you're
yeah.
creating characters, and they're it's playing out in a story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some of them are from the pain and the experiences, and and the childhood and everything. And that's fine, but it's not the whole album. Definitely not. It's more you know storytelling about some people. um yeah, it's from fiction to drama to action to whatever it is.
Well, I think what's interesting I find is creative people are very good observers of
Yeah.
what's outside themselves and what's inside themselves. And what
Oh,
the
totally.
and
You
it's like
are
a
spot on. Right.
yeah, and it's like a synergy of what ends up being in a really cool creative process is there's a synergy of what's in your subconscious mind and
Right.
what's in, like, the moment, and then what's outside yourself. And
Yeah.
so there's these elements that are, like, maybe something you observed, and it gets put in your frame, like a film director, you have a frame of the
Yeah.
world, you put this frame on it, and then
Yeah.
it's like your opinion or how you see things gets interpreted, and you might have come from something that really happened. It could be
Yeah, and
something you observed, and then you kind of, extrapolate on it.
I think that it's cool, but we notice a lot of things that some people, they don't notice.
Yeah,
You
well,
know
that's
what I
the
mean?
nature of
In
being an
life.
artist.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we are able to do it, where other people can't see themselves, they don't give themselves the permission to be creative.
Yeah.
I would argue everybody's creative, and they might not realize they might be how they tell stories through their life, how they present themselves. Maybe they don't put something down on the paper, and they don't put it out there in the world the way we do, but they still do it. What we
Yeah.
do is that we actually put it in a frame of
We put it
like
in a frame, and we are also really good psychologists, I
yeah.
must say.
Yeah, it's like mask, we always wear a mask, like our characters,
Yeah.
are like like multiple levels of characterization. Like a lot of times there's a little bit of ourselves in any story. Like even if we present a character that's outside of ourselves,
Yeah.
I create a female character in my song. It's still coming from probably something that happened to me, right? Or something I saw happen to someone else, or I put it in a frame, but it's like I still can create that character, then
Yeah.
it's not me literally, but
Yeah.
it's figuratively.
I think that our lives, everybody's in the world lives, it's clashing, you know? It's it's kind of like my life are clashing with your life, and we're clashing in each and every one of us lives. You know what I mean?
Like the
Like,
drama.
yeah. We mostly create drama in our heads. We mostly do that. But we can, I think that creative people, that they can understand situations like really deeply, you
Yeah,
know?
they pull out the story, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
like an author, like, if you give a line, there's a famous line, like, baby shoes never worn. Famous
Yeah.
author. And
Yeah.
what that author does is like you put out a line like that, and you're like, well, what happened? Like
Yeah.
it kind of it's the thing that draws you in, like why you stay in a book, why you keep on watching a film, why you keep on listening to a song is because that creative person pulls you in, like it's the hook,
Yeah.
you know, that makes and it's that creative ability to pull somebody into that.
Right. Right. Totally right. And I think that as you said, we are the actors, we are the movie producers, we are, saying the cut, and now you're continuing, and now you're stopping, and now you're doing that and act like that. And, we're everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like I don't know, it's like a control situation. Like like a lot of times creative people are kind of control freaks in their craft, right? They like
yeah.
I know what I want. Right. So I'm gonna like you could be like a musician could just play somebody else's song. You could
Yeah.
be a studio musician. You could be a
Yeah.
classical musician. You just play Chopin, play Beethoven. You always do something. You're a studio musician. Somebody gives you the sheet, you play it. The person who decides to write their own song is a different type of level to me.
Yeah. And I think that whoever sings the songs, he's getting the really like mushy part of it, like the really fun part of it, to play a character. And I really love playing the really bad girl character. uh yeah, I really like it. I think that
You like to give yourself that kind of make yourself that lead villain.
yeah, I love doing that. I love doing that. I had in my latest song, it's called What About the Right Way. It's totally theatrical, and
Mhm.
it's about someone who is chasing after somebody else, and he eventually kills the girl, the guy, whoever it is. And it's kind of interesting what's going on there, because the musical is epic. I can't describe it. It's theatrical.
Like an opera. It's like a mini opera.
It's a mini opera. It's a mini
Yeah.
opera. And at the end of it, I just wanted to make, like, at the movies that you have like a chapel, and like the priest is coming and saying um that death is near. So
Or the
it's like
last
really
word.
really creepy at the end, and I totally liked it. And
Well, I
I
love
could.
that kinda, like, very expansive, thematic type
Yeah.
of work,
Yeah.
that people don't they've in the '70s, we had, like, The Who did Tommy, they did Quadrophenia, you had Styx do these rock operas, there was this whole genre, like, Meatloaf did these operatic songs. There were, like, these stories.
Yeah.
And you had like in that zone, you had these people who tell these really expansive theatrical musical vignettes, and you're like, I don't see a lot of people doing that. It's interesting that you're doing that, but I know in the underground there are people doing it, and I've actually gone and found artists that are doing it, but they're not. It's not impacting like the top 10 list like it
Yeah.
did in the '70s, and I'm kind of disappointed in the audiences that aren't looking for that. And I guess people are so distracted today because I grew up, we didn't have video games, we didn't have the internet. So if records were very big in the
Yeah.
pop culture, now there's so many other things that are outside of music that grab people's attention span. People, go for the video game, they go for the TikTok, they go for all these things, and their attention span isn't really focused on, why, a musician. I was like, "Oh, you should focus on the music." Okay, why aren't you
Right.
focusing on the music? It's like, well, because that's like what we love. And it's like, how come you don't think that's important? What are your thoughts on the way people like view art today?
Well, okay. So I am a copywriter too, so it's like I was going to school to learn copywriting, and I really like to play with my head with ads, the advertisement that we're seeing. I really like it. I'm in love with watching advertisements, and I'm thinking about, yes, our mind is so full with a lot of ads and with a lot of, instant things that we're seeing, not just online, but when we're walking down the street and we're seeing, like an ad for, let's say, a burger. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And then after that, we're going like 2 blocks away, just 2 blocks away, and we're seeing two ads of pizza, or I don't know, whatever.
mm,
Yeah.
inundated. Yeah,
So, yeah, so
overload.
our minds are full of communication and ads, and we can't like process the whole bunch of communication. It's above our ability. So this is like the digital world. So welcome to digital world, and then we are all of a sudden, missing out of the important stuff, of the deep stuff. And maybe they're just, saying, oh man, I have a lot of things to do, and I'm going to work 9 to 5, and I'm just, I'm so tired. I'm just going to watch TV, or I'm just going to fall asleep. And I just, I was in a computer for so many hours, and I'm just tired. And you know, so
Yeah,
people are tired from daily job and daily life. And I think that they are tired not just about that, it's about the experiences in life. It's
with the
about,
overload, too much
yeah,
overload. I think we're inundated, and we've got this little pocket computer called a cell phone that's pinging us with
yeah,
all this stuff all day.
yeah.
Uh,
And above all, we have marriage and kids, and I don't know, and friends, if we're single, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it's it's really complicated to let other things come to us, come in. We're, the basic rule that you're being taught in the copywriting school, that is that, the nature of people are to say, just no, I don't want it. No, what
mhm.
what you're selling me? No, I just don't want it, because it's the instinct. It's a psychology instinct that we're just saying no. So even when we're listening to new music, it's a no. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
there are so many things, so
it's an
many things.
overload. It's like an overload. I think, like, we're inundated with too many inputs,
Hmm.
and then you have to kind of discern what are the inputs that you want for your life, and every individual has to kind of determine that. But
Yeah,
I have seen some metrics where people are going toward in music. People have been listening to stuff from different decades other than this decade. That people are going back and looking for things that seem to maybe have like that songwriting acumen.
yeah.
that that
So it has, yeah.
so
So it
they're
has two
making
ways.
choices. Yeah, you have a choice.
Yeah.
Choices you can make.
Yeah, you have two choices, or that, two paths that people are going. The one that you're talking about, that I'm so tired of just, watching all the music that I'm just used to listen to, because, well, the labels are just, pumping it up, and, spreading a lot of money to just, pump it up in all social media and all radio, and people are just tired of it, and they go to explore other music. And they're the other way, that's okay, I'm just gonna get whatever I'm getting from the labels, and that's it.
Yeah, it's kind of one or the other. But
Yeah,
we're trying to, just find other ways as musicians to get to people. I know. We're spending time. It's like, oh, if I can get my song into this video game, I can actually reach the people because that's where they're spending their time. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's right. I'm trying that too. I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying that too. But it's really hard to get into a game, you know? A lot
Yeah.
of people told me, "Hey, this could fit to a game." And I was like, "Okay, but how can I get to into a
Yeah, well,
game, you
yeah,
know?"
gatekeepers. Well, there's gatekeepers like, like labels. They're
Yeah.
gatekeepers to get into those companies to get in their on their preferred list of composers.
Yeah,
So
it's all about the money.
there's always these gatekeepers of all, the gatekeepers at the labels. Everybody says, "Oh, now you can just put something on." Yeah, you can put your thing out there in the ether, but whether or not you actually get gonna listen to is the point. Like
Yeah.
everybody can put stuff out there, but you need to get on playlist. You need to get like the way people used to go, and you would have your A&R would go and do payola to a DJ in
Yeah.
Chicago, in LA, London, Boston, New York, whatever the major market was, and then you get that market, and then you get the buzz.
Yeah.
But the playlist is kind of like that today. Like
I
the
know.
so
Yeah.
you can put it out there, but unless you get on the playlist, unless you get like in front of that thing that's going to get it into the movie, that's going to get it into the advertising for the sync licensing, there's a whole another conversation we could go into all that. But
Yeah.
I still think like we create the music as the creator because we love it. If we find, we're not opposed to figuring out how to monetize it.
That's
Um,
totally right.
but we do it because we love it. If we can monetize it, it's all gravy.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I totally agree.
So if people like you right now, like you have your website and you have YouTube, and I've seen the other places like Instagram. Are you thinking of making physical copies? Because there's a lot of people today, they like thumb drives, they like vinyl, they like cassettes. Have you thought of putting your music in those forms, or you just want to keep it at a certain level for now?
Okay, so it's a spot you got into because yeah, well, when I was releasing the music, the music was released on 2017. So I was on Spotify, on all those digital stores, and then I was using the DistroKid, and then I was using um no, I was using Datum, and then afterwards DistroKid.
Hmm.
So I didn't really like the two of them. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna explore here all the details, but yeah. And then I had, from the beginning of the war, I had just a bit down and a bit like, I'm gonna stop a bit to stream it. I want to figure it out if there's a new streaming
A new way.
uh,
Yeah, you want
company.
to find a new
Yeah.
path. Yeah.
Yeah, so I found now another company. It's called Offstep. I'm trying them. So, just trying them, and we'll see. It's going to be live, I think, in a few days from now. So all digital stores, Spotify, and all that kind of thing. But I was thinking about the vinyl CDs and stuff like that, but not at the moment because it's not financially, it's not a smart thing for me to do right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, usually it works if you're able to tour, like, because if you can,
Right.
like, 'cause the way the way I've looked at it is like you can get these micro batches of vinyl. Like you could go and get like 1,000 copies of a vinyl,
Right.
and you could make it so that it's profitable selling it for like 25, $30, right? And have
Right.
some artwork in it with a poster and sign them all. Then
Yeah.
if you actually have a merch table and you go to Boston, I live in the Northeast of the US. So if I
Yeah.
go, I've gone to Boston, I gone to New York. So if I go to Boston or New York and I have a merch table after my show, I'll make more money selling T-shirts with my logo on it, like this one.
Right.
And and, uh, and if I have that vinyl on a small batch, if I can show up at merch tables, I can actually make my money. And I'll make more money than Spotify ever would give me.
Yeah.
Just having a small batch of like 1,000.
Yeah,
So
but that's if
that
you're touring.
yeah, for tour. Yeah, if you don't tour, it's hard to get out
Yeah,
there with the Google ads and all the other things to try to
yeah,
get people to actually click, like you're saying. Like everybody says no. Like, nobody
yeah,
wants to click. They'll view it and nobody wants to pay. Like this is last thing I'll mention is like people are willing to pay like $90 for like a video game,
yeah,
like a new system, like a new version of Mario Kart or something. They'll pay
yeah,
$90, but they won't pay $5 to a band that they
that's
like. They
right.
will listen to it on Spotify for like 0.005 of a penny.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. And
because
if
we've kind
if
of
they
devalued the art form.
yeah, if they even liked your music, they will never click on buy and download because everything is free.
Well, we kind of need to change the model. It's kind of like we've got to. What I've heard is like the artists have gonna have to do a full stop at some point and make it harder for people to get the music to make it so that they will actually pay for it. But that's a hard thing to do because we're in a catch 22. The Spotify is like the radio. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to put it out there.
Yeah.
But if you put it out there, then they're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
So it's like how do you get out of the catch 22? It's like I really don't want it out there and getting devalued, and I want somebody to actually value it. But how do you actually change that behavior? So that's the big lesson we all have to learn.
Oh, I don't think it's about changing the behaviors of the crowd. I think it's more of um changing the whole culture. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Consuming culture and the culture itself and education. It's very complex. It's about education, first of all, I think. Um, if I'm going, extreme with the education, I think it's about first of all, I think that our kids should be educated in school regarding saving money,
Mhm.
regarding I don't know, the laws in the country and regarding the technique things, the little things that are really, really super important to know for living a life. And then afterwards, we're teaching them how music is created and developed, through history and all kinds of things, but we're not teaching them the basic things that they should, have.
Well, I think there's like a lack of understanding of like history and softer things, and the softer things are art. Like art in itself, there's a devaluation of art. Right. So if
Yeah,
you devalue art and you don't think it's, art is like part of humanity. To me, it's one of
yeah,
the core parts of humanity. But
that's it.
when you don't value it, then
Yeah,
people will not value the painter, not value the actor, not value the art, the singer songwriter,
yeah.
anybody that's in the art field, anybody that does any kind of, sculpting, any art is devalued compared to if when it was valued. When
I
people
think that
respected
yeah,
that, then they were willing to actually maybe support or be a patron to the arts.
yeah, I think that if we vanish music, movies, like there's all of a sudden there's nothing. Maybe people will realize that, oh my God, we can't really live without music or without movies. We
Yeah.
can because it's something that saves the soul. It's something, it saves people. It's relaxing, it's everything. But as I said, if the kids they're not being taught the basics things to how to live life, you know, and
Yeah.
it's something global, so then they will not know how to, react to music or to movies or to they don't know how really the world works.
Well, there's a lack of appreciation for, I think a general, like, it's like education about like the humanities. Um, People
Yeah.
don't really, I was a liberal arts major and I have, that's why I have a strong belief or respect for the arts. My daughter is a graphic artist. My wife is a playwright. So the arts in our house are like primary.
Yeah.
But the most people, when they look at us, they say, "Well, how can your daughter be an artist?" It's like, "Well, she's a working artist." But like
Yeah.
she actually does well because she made that a priority. That's
Yeah.
what she wants to be. A lot of people would say, "Well, oh, get a real job." It's like
It
if
is
you
a real
that
job.
it is a real job, I know, but that's the problem. The problem is most people don't respect it.
Yeah.
That's the problem we have. But it's like it takes like a household to like my household is my low contribution is like my daughter has a belief in that.
Yeah.
Like her children will probably have a belief in that. Her friends are all artists. So she's in a community of people who do that.
Yeah,
So
and I think yeah, and I think if teachers at school, you know, will they will try to I think with psychologists maybe try to figure out what the kid in the early ages wants to be, and uh, think about what he likes to do and explore things on early ages, and then at the sudden all of a sudden he knows a bit what he wants to do. he
mhm,
could he could change it, yeah, but he knows a bit. Then all of a sudden, then when you teach him about money and about how to manage money, or things, or laws, or I don't know, copyrights law, and all of the you know
yeah, that's a
so
better understanding. Yeah, I think a lot of
yeah.
people are getting the short change. They're not getting the full story. They're not really they're not really getting, what they need, like you're suggesting, like, to really participate in the society and know values. Um,
Yeah.
and we kinda gone to a period where, like, the values have kinda taken a slide. Um, so it's kinda up to people to start, you know, doing that again, but, it has to be a community effort, but it could start
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
individuals who believe in it, and then they find like-minded individuals who believe in it, and then at least
Yeah.
build pockets of it, and then be out there and be advocates for it. As musicians, if we go advocate for it, our work should be respected and we should be paid. And so we,
Yeah.
create artist unions, create artist collectives that you all like a bunch of artists go and they take over like an event and for a week and they get people to realize if you want to see this, you have to support it. You have to pay the patrons, you have to pay the fee to
That's
ticket.
right.
And so if you get people to start to stop going it alone and maybe come together and have community events, like what they
Yeah.
used to called happenings back in the 70s. And you would have, theater majors, models, actors, painters, musicians, all go to San Francisco and take over a theater. And there was a multiple type of event, like multiple types of art being done in one place.
Yeah.
And if
I
you have more of those and you continue to and you tour that around the world, you get people to actually realize, and you donate to an artist fund. You create an
Yeah.
artist fund create an artist fund and give it to like emerging artists to make sure that the new artists get a shot. That's how we can take care of ourselves and says, hey, let's invest in ourselves.
Yeah. I,
With
I well, I think it doesn't have to be a fun. It just have to be like a way of thinking about the culture as a respectful one, something that it's a job. It's a job, and you have to pay for everything. You need to pay for your milk to have milk at home. So you're paying, and if you want to have music, then you have to pay, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I, I totally agree with that.
It's something
And
that you need.
well,
Music is
it's
like
like, yeah,
milk. You
it's
need
just
it.
like, well, everybody, the banker wants his fee. The lawyer wants their fee, the doctor wants their fee. They always want their fee. It's like we shouldn't be ashamed to ask for our fee because every
Yeah.
other profession has a fee. It's like, well, why we need our fee too?
Yeah, we need our fee too. That's right. So people, you need milk, then you need music. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
like
same
breathing,
thing.
breathing
Yeah.
to me. But I want to thank you for taking the time today. to
Thank
talk
you
to us.
so much.
And,
Thank you so much.
it's out there. This episode's been on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We will be on Apple Podcast, Spotify Video Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, and some other channels by the end of the day. And I want to thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you.